Welcome, my chingus, to Two Waygooks in Korea. My name is Steven.
My name's Josh.
And we are both English teachers living in South Korea. And today we're here to talk to you about 3 more interesting things about living in South Korea.
Yeah, you guys can tell that we're getting really creative with these titles.
So these are all kind of interesting things that they don't really have their own episodes worth.
Yeah.
But things that I found really cool, really interesting.
That we just want to talk to you about, see if you knew them, but we didn't know them coming in.
Yes.
Until maybe about a week ago or so. Yeah.
So we've been living here for probably, like 9 months now?
Almost 9 months now.
So it's been a while. But, relatively recently I found out, because I always thought, I was like, Korea, very small place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chingus that live here. And unlike Taiwan, at least I've only been to Taiwan, but like people don't really use those like mopeds or the motorcycles here, really. Because I remember in Taiwan, there's just like gigantic flocks of mopeds or bicycles before that.
Yeah.
And here it's usually cars. I mean, there's just cars everywhere. Some people ride bikes, but
yeah, give or take, there's a lot of like bikes and mopeds here too, but not as much as you would compare to like Taiwan or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe Philippines or places like that.
So I was like, well, how do they park?
Yeah.
How's that work? And so they have parking garages. But what's kind of interesting is that firstly, all the cars have like a phone number in big old print somewhere on the car. Yeah. And that's because there's a lot of double parking or triple parking or boxing you in.
Just because there's no room.
Yeah, it's just no room. Yeah. So they just got to do it. So Korea's kind of evolved to be like, yo, I'm going to park here and block your shit in. Yeah. But you can call me and, no matter what time of day, as long as, you call me, I will come and move it. And so that is very prevalent in like, because in Korea there's like super tower apartment buildings and there's usually like 10 of them, really close together. Yeah. So they have these gigantic kind of underground parking lots that are just completely filled.
There are definitely not enough places to park here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of understandable. But I mean, in America, you'll have, a lot of places that are just designated parking like areas. I feel like America kind of has more cars than Korea, but Korea also has very limited space. So
right, but you're from California, where it also has some parking problems, especially in LA and blah blah blah. Yeah. And I'm from Texas, and we got so much fucking space. I mean, we got parking for fucking days. Yeah. I've never needed to learn how to parallel park. I don't know how to parallel park. My friends make fun of me because I fucking can't do it.
Interesting.
Because I've never had to do it.
Interesting.
But so all the cars have these phone numbers that you can call. But the other thing is that when you do park your car in front of somebody else's car, you leave your car in neutral.
Yeah.
Because Korea in general is pretty flat, so you leave your car in neutral. So why would they do that?
You leave your car in neutral just in case the other person wants to move your car so they can get out.
Yeah, so maybe they don't have to call you. If they can just move your car out of the way, then they can get their, get their car out. Maybe if they're nice, they'll push it back. I don't know.
Yeah, and it just kind of like makes you wonder. Well, can't you just push this car like just onto like a truck and then just like steal it? Yeah. Sometimes I think, but
or if you're really pissed at them, just push their car into another
like
car,
or like push it into a river, or just
put it in a river.
Like, why are you doing parking behind my car? I'll push your car into the river.
Yeah, so, that's a big inconvenience in America. I think people are like, oh, God, I got parked in, blah, blah, blah. But here, it's just kind of a way of life, so they kind of evolved to deal with it. And another thing that actually just occurred to me is that in Korea, they have this device. It's called the black box. And it's kind of like if you've ever been on like Reddit or something, you'll see like all of the Russians have these dash cams because there's so many accidents in Russia. Everyone just needs these dash cams to prove that they're innocent or guilty. The black box is kind of like that, where it records everything that kind of happens around your car. Yep. So if anyone hits it or dings it or fucks with it,
accident or whatever, it records everything.
Yeah. So I guess that's one reason why people don't just fucking push your car into anything.
Does he have a black box? He does. I'm just gonna.
Although you can just steal that car.
Yeah, you steal the car, just destroy that black box, and then. There you go. I guess that's end of your problems.
And then after this, all these foreigners are coming to America. You're going to steal all these cars. And be like, where'd you learn how to do it?
I heard that from Steven and Josh, how you can steal cars here by just pushing them onto trucks.
It's like, damn it. But actually, I witnessed that just like at school. Because at school, there's so many teachers. And there's not even enough parking spots just in my school. And I saw all these old ladies, old 56-year-old teachers pushing cars out of the way so that their cars could get out. And
it's kind of like a game of like Blockist or something. It's like
that's exactly what it is. And parking here, in itself can be some scary shit.
Koreans must be really good at that game then. I'm just saying.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. Sometimes, maybe some girlfriends take a long time to park.
Some girlfriends who should not be mentioned.
Which I feel terrible because I'm like, I can't even help you because I don't fucking know how to do it. But so that's kind of parking and kind of how that works in Korea. So if you're thinking about getting a car, which some foreigner teachers do,
we have a few friends who.
Yeah, usually they've stayed for 2, 3, 4 years, but cars are pretty cheap here. You get like a clunker kind of car. Yeah. You're not getting like a brand new Mercedes Benz.
Yeah, not getting Beamers or anything like that.
But you can get a car for $2,000 and serve you just right.
Yeah.
But all right. What else is interesting?
But what's not cheap in Korea,
nice.
Despite popular belief, kimchi is actually rather expensive. Kimchi, it's pretty expensive. So what will happen most of the time is that each household will just make their own kimchi.
Maybe you've seen it in like a drama or something. And I always thought, it's because
it tastes better.
It tastes better if it's yours.
Taste.
It's just the tradition here. You just do it. But according to some of the Korean people we know, that's part of the tradition.
But just buying it at the supermarket is really expensive.
Yeah, it's much cheaper to just make your own. Usually it's once a year, which is why Koreans have a special kimchi fridge that is at a specific temperature just for keeping kimchi good, for an extended period of time. But because we were at a restaurant I was at a restaurant with my girlfriend, and we just didn't eat the kimchi, or we didn't eat that much of the kimchi that the dude cut for us.
Yeah.
And she was like, she felt so bad. She was like, that's so much money. And I'm like, how much could fucking kimchi be?
Yeah.
Maybe, what, like $1? She's like, that's like $10 worth of kimchi. And I'm like,
it's just like,
what? How is that $10 worth?
It's just like nothing.
Yeah. And she's like, well, the restaurants usually buy kimchi from of all places, they buy kimchi from China. Because if it's from China, it's
cheap.
Gonna be cheap.
It's cheap.
That's true. There's a lot of space, a lot of people, a lot of, So apparently all the restaurants buy kind of cheap kimchi from China, which is much cheaper, but still, like, if you were to buy at a supermarket, that amount that we just left on the table was like $10.
Yeah, so usually, like, when you go to restaurants, you will be able to taste the quality in kimchi. There are some restaurants that I go to, I'm just like, oh, this kimchi just tastes so much better. I don't know why. And it's probably handmade, or it's more expensive. It's definitely not kimchi from China.
Yeah, which makes sense. Number one, you're probably making a mass quantities by people who don't know, and you got to transport it, so all that stuff. Nothing against China. They make some good shit. I'm sorry, I said cheap shit, not good shit. Cheap shit.
Their copy game is pretty good though.
Which Korea's copy game was on point for a while, but they actually have been stopping that kind of stuff.
Like China's copy game is still up there.
Number one.
It's pretty good. Just saying.
But yeah, so I never would have thought. It'd be like if rice was really expensive.
Yeah, right.
Which is because they eat
soju was really expensive, right? Like you want to soju is dirt cheap, just dirt cheap. But kimchi relatively expensive unless you make it yourself.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't know that, now did you?
I bet you didn't, unless you're Korean.
Then you probably know. Then sorry. But usually they have like a lot of various kinds of kimchi. So whenever like that, vegetable is like kind of at its season, like sometimes the family would just make a whole bunch of kimchi and just send all those sides over to like, the children and the grandchildrens and all of that. So that's why you see it a lot in the dramas, or you might have some, Korean friends who like, oh, my mom gave me kimchi again. And you're like, why do you always get kimchi for your mom? Well, it beats buying it at the supermarket. That's why.
Yeah. And for example, like, my girlfriend was telling me how like one of her cousins like wife left him or something like that, so he's all alone, and so he just doesn't have kimchi.
Yeah.
So like he would have to go buy it, and it was really expensive. So finally her mom, who actually doesn't know how to make kimchi, told her mom to start giving him, something like that, where it's like,
It's weird.
if you don't have a woman in your life in Korea, you just don't have kimchi.
You don't got nothing. That like having kimchi is like a signal of prosperity and like just being well off. If you have enough kimchi to eat, then you're good.
Then you're good. Then you know you're loved. If you
got
got kimchi, you know you're loved.
You got some grandmama, or you got your mama loves you, or your wife loves you, or distant aunt.
So, brothers, sisters, second cousins, uncle's daughter, she loves you. Someone. But let's talk about the last interesting thing, and that is kind of how
ads are kind of
a very specific kind of ad, usually involving like a nightclub or some kind of more underground kind of thing.
Yeah. So you guys can probably like look around at like a lot of different other expats who are living in Korea. And they'll tell you what, advertising is like. You got sound advertising, like a truck just like blaring their speakers through the street, just like noise. And, you just got a whole bunch of like weird advertising.
Yeah.
Now, we have seen some very, very strange advertising where it's just borderline like, this can't be.
I mean, it's littering. It's literally just littering.
It's littering, right? Like you'll see a lot of guys who just take flyers or cards and just throw them. Just throw them all over the place, just on the ground.
Yeah.
And like, me and Steven we'll be walking in like a crowded area and we'll slip on this shit. We'll be like, what the fuck? Like, and we'll be like, why? Who would? I guess because like, okay, you can see it. It's on the ground. I guess that's
better than nothing. Although you're stepping on it.
But some people pick that shit up.
Yeah.
I've seen someone who'd be like, oh. And like read it. I'm like, what are you doing? That was on the ground. Why are you picking that up?
Yeah.
But it works.
So Korea, I think they have some specific law that's like you can't hand somebody an advertisement about certain types of things.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Because I have seen people hand out advertisements for like normal ass things, like
food or
a restaurant, whatever. But I think when it comes to the nightclubs, the gentleman clubs, the thingy mabobbers, those you can't actually hand them. So what they do is they just throw them on the floor in case you want to pick them up. And that's what they do. So, like, for example, we have like a downtown area.
Yeah.
And we ain't that gangster, but there's still usually every night, there's usually on the floor one specific like nightclub's advertisements.
Usually a booking club. And we've talked about going to a booking club. And I think our first Waygook.
Our first and one of the best ones, I think.
Yeah, so if you don't know what a booking club is, go look at that one.
You should look at that one. But like when we were in Seoul, like, you go to Hongdae, which is the big clubbing kind of area, and it's just fucking everywhere.
It's just like, just insulated.
Yeah.
The crowd is very insulated.
And there's like lots of cool ways they do it. Like one way is just standard old, just a dude walking around smoking, just like, boop,
like it could, like he's trying to be inconspicuous. I'm like, oh, you got all those flyers in your hand. And he's like, what?
Yeah. He'll like throw them. He'll just like slowly dribble them, on the ground or drop them on the ground. Yeah, like you ain't got
nonchalantly, but it's very. Like they're usually like trying to like smoking or they're talking to their friend while they're doing it, like just like whatever.
It's like it's got like an accident, like they dropped it,
Oops.
Or like they'll be on a motorcycle and their chingu's on the back of the motorcycle, just throwing stuff out, while he's passing by.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
I think one of my favorites was, it was one of the first couple weeks we were here, and it was like a big flyer, like paper-sized flyers, and this one dude had like 20 of them, just threw them up, and it hit somebody on the head. I thought it was literally just like we had no idea what was going on. It was just like bam, we were like, who the hell throws fucking paper? And it's just so weird to see that, and it kind of is in conjunction with the way like senior citizens kind of work in Korea, because a lot of times older people in Korea don't have jobs, so they kind of resort to like pretty much just picking up the younger kids' trash.
Yeah, and like it's really sad because like. This could be a whole different Waygook, but like pensioners in Korea, they don't really get much money in general because there's still kind of a culture of like your family's supposed to take care of you when you're older. But that's not the case for a lot of families, you know?
Right.
Like, they might have a son who's working in, like, Seoul, and they're living in the countryside, and, you know, how are they going to take care of themselves when they're really, really old?
Yeah.
But those you know, hanmeis and halbeis just cleaning the streets, the grandmas and grandpas just cleaning the streets, collecting the cardboard to sell, and all that business, and it's just, it's sad to see.
It's sad, yeah.
I don't really like this kind of advertising, because one, you kill a lot of trees. Two, you're just making a mess of everything. And three, some old kind lady is gonna have to clean up your trash for some nightclub. That ain't right.
And sell like 100 of them for like 2 cents.
That ain't right.
You know, on the dollar or whatever it is.
That ain't right. What they should be doing is that you should get the grandpas and grandmas and just have them make like tons of kimchi and then just sell it to all like the bachelors, and you'd be making some money. That's what I'm saying. Just like business ideas.
All right, well,
don't steal that from me, right, viewers?
Don't steal cars. Don't steal ideas.
Don't
steal.
Like I'm gonna get a ring of just like, you know, just a bunch of like harmonies and harbeis, and we're just gonna go steal cars and make kimchi.
I mean, hey, it might work.
That's the dream.
It might work. Now you can see those old ladies that are pushing out like little carts of cardboard. They're like loading their Mercedes with cardboard. like why not?
Like,
why not?
Huh,
but all right, that's it for kind of 3 more interesting things about living in South Korea.
I hope there's something that you learned. Probably you did.
I hope you did.
Yeah.
Tell us what you guys think. Again, it's been a while since we've done one of these.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any more ideas, I mean, part of it is that we run out of ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, because Eater Kimchi's done videos on this, and
Yeah.
and other people have done videos on
There's
this.
a
I mean,
lot
it's
of
not
blogs.
super new.
There's a lot of blogs about people living here, and they're telling you new things.
Yeah.
We don't really like to regurgitate things that, you know, a lot of people like Eat Your Kimchi and stuff do.
Try not to.
You know, I mean, and some of the stuff they talk about, we haven't necessarily experienced ourselves, so we don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But things like...
And we've gotten good questions.
Yeah.
Just sometimes they're just like, we can answer them in the comments, but again, if you have anything else, I mean, maybe one day we'll talk about Japan. It's just that's kind of a downer episode. You know,
that'll be really
downer
episode.
Super down. You know, we could talk about the fairy thing, but again, that's a downer.
Super downer
thing.
episode. It's more fun to talk about, you know, grandmas and grandpas making kimchi and stealing cars.
Those gentlemen clubs. Yeah, so anyways, that's it for episode number 17. If you want to check out our other stuff, we do other stuff. We have our Waygooks playlist right over there next to me over here. We got our reactions. If you want to see reactions, we got our K-pop podcast, which we do every 2 weeks. It's on iTunes. It's on YouTube. It's right up there. And we kind of have some other stuff that we do up there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, not anymore. But
not really anymore.
But I do, of course, still owe some people a dance one day, maybe.
Bye.
See you guys. We're going to steal some shit.